The holidays is a time where you get to show off with your food. But aren't you tired of eating the same old dry turkey? Why don't you try this recipe instead? Christmas dinner can be very stressful. There are so many things to prepare and think about. Even when everybody's seated and ready to eat, carving the turkey on the bone can be challenging and time-consuming. But with our poulet galantine, you don't have to worry about that. Since there are no bones, carving and serving never been easier. So the first thing you need for this recipe is a completely deboned chicken like this one. So if you want to know how to completely debone a chicken, we made a video about it. You just have to click on the link. The link will also be in the description. So before we stuff the chicken, we're gonna use the carcass to make a delicious sauce. So the first thing we have to do is chop the carcass in small pieces before roasting. So the reason that we cut the bones in such small pieces is to maximize surface area for better coloring. Because remember, the more color, the more flavor, and the more flavor, the more fun. So there are many ways that you can caramelize your bones, but today we're gonna do it in the air fryer because it's efficient and it gives you a great caramelization. But if you don't own an air fryer, you can do it the traditional way by roasting in the oven or pan frying it. All right, it's time to stuff the chicken. So you can decide to stuff your chicken with absolutely anything you want. You can stuff it with meat, you can stuff it with mushroom, vegetables, there is no limit. But today we're gonna show you how to make a simple pork stuffing. So we're gonna start with about 1 pound of ground pork. So the first thing I like to do is spread the meat around to get some even seasoning. We're gonna start with some salt, 2% of the weight of the meat, about a tablespoon of old-fashioned mustard, a tablespoon of honey, a little bit of black pepper, about a teaspoon of fennel seed powder, and a good pinch of dried thyme. Don't overdo it, this stuff is pretty powerful. And that's it. We're just gonna mix everything together until we have a good protein extraction. So when you're done mixing, the meat should be quite sticky like this. This means you have a good binding. So the chicken is deboned, the stuffing is ready. It's time to stuff that beauty. So the first thing we're gonna do is season the inside. Then you're gonna grab your stuffing and just shove it in the middle. So I'm just gonna work it in like so. I'm gonna grab part of the stuffing and stuff the legs. It's gonna help with the appearance and it's gonna help have some meat throughout the bird. You can even put some stuffing in the wings. Now that your legs and wings are stuffed and the stuffing is equally spread out, we're gonna fold the chicken and tie it up. Now that your chicken is nicely rolled up, we're gonna tie the legs together like so. It's gonna help everything hold together. Now we're gonna take a long piece of butcher's twine. That should about do it. And we're gonna start tying the chicken. For this part, I'm gonna be using a butcher's knot. But if you don't feel comfortable with this technique, you can always tie it up one string at a time. So the first thing, I want to have an attach point fixed to start with. I'm gonna hold my string and I'm gonna create a loop, just like so. And I'm gonna drag it underneath my piece of meat until I'm close to the beginning. Then like a little lasso, just like so, I have my first tie. I'm gonna repeat the exact same thing. I create a loop. I have my loop. And take your time, not too tight and not too loose. Just like that. Keep going. Once you reach the end with the string, we're just gonna roll the chicken so we can do the other side. Now that we're on the other side, you can just kind of pull the skin into place a little bit. And then we're just gonna loop under each strings to recreate the same knot. Again. Once you reach the other end, you can grab the other piece of string you had and then just tie them together. Once it's all closed up, roll it back together, and voila. Come on, don't tell me that doesn't look delicious. Grab a baking tray, lift the wire rack, and drop some vegetables underneath. A mirepoix. Spread it evenly. A dash of white wine and a dash of water. Put the wire rack back on top and gently, delicately place your lovely chicken on top of it. Now lightly oil the skin. And apply a bit of salt. Let's roast this bad boy. Alright, so while the chicken is resting, we're gonna make the sauce. So put your chopped up bones in the air fryer or in a regular oven. I'll be roasting them at 390 Fahrenheit for about 15-20 minutes, or until they have a nice color. So after about 15 minutes of roasting, this is what it should look like. Nice and caramelized. At this point, we're just gonna dunk everything in a pot and cover it with some filtered water. Bring it to a boil and let it simmer for about an hour. Oh! While the chicken finishes roasting, I'm gonna take the vegetables and cooking juice and add it to the sauce. So we're gonna bring everything back to a boil, let it simmer for a few minutes, and then we're gonna thicken the sauce. All right, we're gonna transfer all the gravy juice through a sieve. Press to extract as much juice as possible. We're gonna transfer the gravy to a blender. About half a tablespoon of flour, a dash of Worcestershire, half a teaspoon of soy sauce. This is optional, but a pinch of mushroom powder, and a big ass chunk of butter. I'm gonna return back to a saucepan to thicken. Oh! I mean, look at this, my friend. It is absolutely glorious. All right, so we're gonna cut the strings. Carefully peel them away. Transfer the chicken onto a board. Woo! Remove the rest of the strings. It's time to cut it open. Oh! Oh my God. Look how juicy that shit is. My God, this beats your mother's dried turkey any day of the week. Sorry, Mom.